cost of raising a child, twice as high as in some states as others. Rob, can you pull up the story on, there's not a video on this. Okay. So the annual cost of raising a child varies widely across the U.S., with Massachusetts being the most expensive, $35,841 per year per child. Damn. You have 3 kids. It costs you $100,000 a year just to raise a kid. This is after-tax money.
Jeez.
That's after-tax money. That means you got to make $200,000, pay half in taxes to be able to afford to raise 3 kids. Largely by child care costs of $21,000. In contrast, in Mississippi, it's $16,000. Significantly lower cost of child care, $4,700. The lifetime cost of raising a child between the 2 states is a staggering difference of $439,000. Okay. Additional housing expenses for raising a child are the highest in Hawaii, $61.88, California, $55.73, while food and medical costs remains other significant contributors across states. For instance, in Hawaii, food costs $24.81 annually, while New York records medical costs at $24.42. Child care alone exceeds $15,000 in annual states in Hawaii, $19,592, Connecticut, $19,554, and creating a stark contrast to states like Arkansas, that's only $7,300, and Louisiana, $7,800, where the total annual cost remains under $18,000. Tom, when you see a number like this, okay, how many different states have you lived in for more than a year, you personally?
With kids, 3 of them, California, Texas, and Florida.
No kids.
Oh, without kids, I also, no, as an adult, those are the 3 states I've lived in.
Right. Okay. So California, Florida, and Texas, right? If you're a family that is looking at numbers like this, you're in places like New York, California, Boston, you want a fighting chance. What do you do if you want to have kids and at the same time you see what's going on with the cost of living?
Well, it's kind of the decision I made. Kim and I, we had kids later, as everybody knows. We're blessed later, but then we start looking around at schools. So we're paying taxes in California, and we're looking at the schools, and we're looking at the expense. Now, we were blessed with some capabilities, but we used to talk about it because Kim's a school teacher, that she would see the frustration in the faces of parents of kids that would come in. And not kids misbehaving. These are kids coming in with their parents on back to school night, and their parents are coming in asking, hey, you know, what can we do? What about, what books should we be reading over the summer? What could we be doing enrichment? And you look at the cost of it and you say to yourself, this is crazy. And you can't even think about like private school, even an inexpensive parochial private school or something. And so you look at the other states and you look at the cost, you look at the tax, and you say, if I'm going to have a fighting chance to raise this kid and give the kid enrichment activities and things like that, because we're thinking about, you know, how do you just buy cleats and shin guards to go play soccer and pay for soccer leagues, you know, in California where it's so expensive and things. You know what? You look at other states and you think about moving, and you think about going to states that are going to give you the ability to have a better lifestyle and to be afford to raise your kids. And the other side of it is, isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting where all these expenses are happening in blue states that are so pro-abortion? And I'll just kind of leave that hanging out there. But parents look to other places, Pat, so they can go someplace where there's jobs and lower expense, so they have a fighting chance to raise their kid, provide enrichment activities, be able to fund them if they want to play soccer or baseball, because that's not inexpensive, and to raise their kids and have some sense of lifestyle. Nothing expensive, but some sense of lifestyle and the ability to do so. You make plans to go.
Very quiet, Tom. Things just got very, very quiet. So, no, I'm looking at this. Meanwhile, our friend Humberto in the back is, I think, asking for some paid leave, Rob, if you want to pull up one of the... You know which one I'm talking about, Rob? If you can pull this up, watch this here. Paid maternity leave in the West. Sweden, 15 months at 80% paid. Norway, 46 weeks. That's almost a year at 100% paid. Yeah. Germany, 14 weeks. That's 4 months, right? At 100% pay. Then France, 16 weeks, 100% pay. Spain, 16 weeks, 100% pay. Czech, 28 weeks, 70% pay. Brazil, 17 weeks, 100% pay. Colombia, 18 weeks at 100% pay. Guatemala, 12 weeks at 100% pay. And U.S., 0 weeks. The U.S. is the only developed country in the world with no federal paid maternity leave.
Wait, didn't Pete Buttigieg get something for I thought he was on leave.
You know.
So Sweden and Norway, if you get pregnant and you have a baby, you leave for a year and you show up to have lunch and say, I'm leaving for another year because she's pregnant again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're smart.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when I see charts like this, what it makes me think about. Here's what it makes me think about. Okay, Rob, let's do something. Let's do something. Can you go to every one of those countries and see how many babies they're having per year? The women in those countries, how many kids they're having per year, okay? Because this data could be like, well, this is why they're having more kids than us. Maybe you're right. Let's see. Let's check every one of these guys and let's check all the countries to see if they're really having more kids than we are, Rob. So if you just go one at a time, what did Sweden tell us? Sweden says how many? Sweden is the lowest number of births in the last decade.
Wow.
So it doesn't make a difference if you're doing that. Go to the next one, which is who? Norway, 1.4. 2.1 is what you need for your population to grow. U.S. is at 1.7, and they're at 1.4. Go to the next one. What's Germany at? Maybe Germany's a very big number, and they're just absolutely crushing it. Again, the number of babies in Germany has decreasing in recent years. Go a little, okay, 1.35. You see that right there? The fertility rate in Germany has been dropping, falling to 1.35 per child. Okay, so here's the point. Even with that, it's not working. Go to the left with that one tweet that you had. No, to the left, Rob, to the one tweet. Yeah, right there. Even with that, it's not working. Because sometimes you'll see data like this and they'll say, well, we need to be like Europe. We need to be like this. Yeah, why don't we go become socialist? Let's just do that. Let's just kind of go become like Brazil and some of these other places. Let's go ahead and do that. You know how many sick days, maternity? I mean, it's just, it's staggering when you're watching this. However, let me do tell you this part. We pulled up a number on dinks and dwicks.
Yeah.
You know, dinks are what? Dual income, no kids.
Yeah.
And then the other one is dwicks. Dual with dual income.
With kids.
With kids. It's kind of like dicks. It's D-I-W-K-S.
Yeah.
Right?
My favorite.
Yeah. Dicks. So dinks and dwicks. You know, between the two, who makes more money? Those with kids or those without kids?
With kids?
With kids.
No, without kids makes more money. By $9,000 per year.
With kids.
No, without
kids.
kids, they make more money.
Without kids make
Without
more.
kids, they make
Obviously,
$9,000
at this
more.
point.
Okay? But the point right now, when you're going and looking at some of the stuff here on the cost of living of raising a child, hey, man, you got two things you have to sacrifice. What's one thing you're going to sacrifice? One is not having kids. What's the other thing you're going to sacrifice? The other one is your maybe, personal time that you have, or maybe that nice clothes you're going to buy, or nice restaurant you go to, or more barbecue money to be spent and stuff like that, versus, no, man, we're going to have a family. We're going to have kids. We're going to invest money into our family, into the stuff that we're doing. We're going to make that investment rather than the cost and the expense. That's the difference, right? There is a sacrifice no matter what. One sacrifice lasts a few years. The other one comes with a benefit of a companion and something you look forward to for decades and decades and decades to come. I once read a proverb, which I think is a Jewish proverb, and I've said this many times.
Adam, fact check this. Go ahead. Pat.
Yep.
There's three things
Plant a tree.
There's three things every man ought to do: plant a tree, write a book, have a son. Okay, this is why this afternoon we're planting a few trees.
Yes.
Here, because it's the only one I haven't yet planted a tree.
Got
Tom,
you.
outside we got to go plant a few trees. Adam, any thoughts on this with all
Yeah.
your kids that you have? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I won't.
Just
say what I
go
was about to say.
get to it, buddy.
Well, look,
Tell us what
I
you're
saw
thinking.
I saw your video that you did about the
Yes.
dinks and the dwicks and the dicks and all this stuff. This is sort of the conversation of our time: is whether or not you're going to have kids. We're seeing the declining birth rates all around the world, right? We're seeing the rise of modern feminism. It was pretty interesting. Why Americans don't want kids? You did a graph on this. What was the most common reason? 56%. They just don't want to. Straight up. So I want to understand why. 19% medical reasons, only 17% financial reasons. I say save that money. So the cost of having kids is ridiculous. It's getting more expensive. It used to be from 0 to 18, $250,000 is what it would cost you. Now it's going to be what? Almost $500,000, depending on what state you live. So there's things that the government should be doing to incentivizing people to have more kids, the child tax credit, paid family leave. Shout out to Pete Buttigieg. But when it comes to having kids, there's 3 options. You can either start earlier, right, in your 20s or even your 30s. You can do later in your 30s or even in your 40s, or just not at all, straight up. So I've elected to do option number 2. But the average age of having kids and getting married has increased since the 60s, 70s, from early 20s to late 20s, early 30s. So people are living longer. They're waiting to have more kids. But it's pretty interesting when you're talking about the financial component. You did the breakdown here. Speaking of the dual income, no kids, dual income with kids, the percentage of both the man and the woman household working since 1965, this is basically when LBJ was doing his thing, has gone from 47% to 66%, meaning more men and women are working, right? Husband only has gone from 38 down to 21, and just the woman only has gone from 2 to 7%.
Pretty wild.
You told the story about a buddy of yours, and his wife is a lawyer, and he's staying home, chest feeding the kids, doing his thing. Shout out to you, buddy. But you remember the conversation that Harris Butker sparked when he was speaking at the graduation, where he's speaking to all these graduates, many of them women, and saying, "Ladies, congratulations on graduating college."
Harrison Butker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Harrison Butker.
Congratulations on graduating. Now, basically, get your ass back in the kitchen. And it got blown out of
That's not what
proportion.
he said. He
Hold on, Tom.
complimented his wife.
Hold on, Tom. I understand that.
I'm not interrupting. I'm fact
You
checking.
literally are interrupting, but I love you anyway. It's all good. The media blew it out of proportion, saying that he was a misogynist, saying that he's a chauvinist. But in reality, he said, my wife couldn't be any happier. And that's the reality is these days, is that women are going to wake up one day. They're going to be 38, 42 years old. They're going to be childless cat ladies. Shout out to JD Vance. They're going to be like, what? Why don't I? What? And the guy that they want, they think they're going to qualify for, is going to go after a 24-year-old. So
there you
choose
go. All right.
wisely.
This hat, remember this hat that we showed? I told the crew, I said, I don't know how this hat's going to do. Let me put it to you this way. We don't have this for sale, so you can't even buy it. It's done. We're shipping 1,000 of these out today. So for some of you guys that are waiting for it, it's officially at our warehouse. It's going out to you. Merry Christmas. By the way, this, Rob, can you play the clip with Jill Biden talking about happy holidays and a kid corrects it? We're at a point that kids are correcting the First Lady that, hey, why can't you just say Merry Christmas, that a kid has to lecture the president's wife. Watch this clip here. It's so funny. It's 13 seconds. Go ahead.
Hello. How are you? Hi. Happy holidays.
Watch
Hi.
this.
Happy Christmas.
Yes.
Happy Christmas. Yes.
Happy holidays to Happy Christmas. You can pause it right there. The kid is more comfortable saying Merry Christmas than our First Lady is. But anyways, this sold, the USA hat versus the this hat, in 6 weeks, it sold the same amount as the USA hat did in 6 months.
That's ridiculous.
This hat, Christmas. But so I'm not selling it to you. We don't have it. We still have these Christmas hats left, these 2 Merry Christmas. One thing I will tell you that moved insanely fast were these sweaters. These sweaters that the quality is insane. You can literally sleep in these things with winter being around the corner. This one here, hot item going off the shelf. This is 3D quality. And on the back, it shows future looks bright. These are still out
This
there.
might be the softest thing I've ever touched.
I'm
not even joking.
Wow.
Seriously?
You're 44. You've
Hot
touched
wrap.
something like that. But let me go
Can we
back
start
to this
the
part here.
podcast? I'm ready for that.
When you go if you go to VT Merch, what we do have right now is gift cards. And this is what we're doing with the gift cards. You can buy a gift card for a friend, relative, fan, somebody that's watching this. I had a husband today say, hey, Pat, can you send me a Manek to my wife? She absolutely loves PBD Podcast. And can you please make sure you say Merry Christmas to my wife, which I did. And let me even give her a quick shout out. The last name was Lynch. If I can find this thing here, Chris Lynch, shout out to you for sending a Manek to give a shout out to your wife, Caroline Lynch. So you got a Manek and you're getting a shout out here. But go order a gift card. The first 50 people that order a $50 gift card, we're also sending a hat, Future Looks Bright hat in there for you as well. Give it to somebody you love for this Christmas. It's a lot of merch moving right now, guys, and people are in a very optimistic mode of Future Looks Bright. We want 1 million people around the world wearing this gear. Future Looks Bright. Go order the sweater. It's cold. Get one for yourself and a loved one. Again, go to vtmerch.com. Place your order.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.